Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SourceForge Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Bo Hamilton, Senior Editor and Multimedia Producer here at SourceForge, the world's most visited software comparison site where B2B software buyers compare and find business software solutions. Today, we're talking with Sandy Verfaya, owner and CEO of Tattoogenda, a SaaS platform designed to help tattoo studios manage their customers and artists, make bookings, keep track of deposits, and much more. I'm really excited to talk to Sandy about her company because I feel like the body art industry is just really a great example of an area that could really use some more modernization with new technology. You know, it's rooted in traditional sort of craftsmanship, face-to-face interactions between like the artist and the client, and transactions are typically done, it seems, with like cash or peer-to-peer payment platforms, at least like in my experience. Also, along with that, I guess in my experience, interactions are typically done with over social media or email and calendar apps. And then, payment is just, a little bit disorganized, and it's kind of hard to keep track of for clients and artists and studios. So I really see the appeal in something like Tattoogenda. That being said, let me bring in Sandy to talk more about the company. Sandy, welcome to the podcast. Glad you can join us.
Hi, Bo. Thanks for having me. You did a very good introduction.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I just kind of laid sort of the groundwork, but I want to send it over to you so you can kind of provide your overview of Tattoogenda and your company and highlight what are some of the key features your platform offers tattoo studios?
Right. So Tattoogenda, first of all, is a digital calendar. Think Google Calendar, but then very much tailored to our industry. The second part is it's also a CRM, of course. We take care of our customers. We send them automated emails, like, for example, with their appointment list. We send reminders by email or text. We also send aftercare emails. We ask the customers for reviews, which helps your studio grow. And then, of course, we have the very niche specific features also, like consent forms. Every tattoo needs to have a consent form between the artist and the customer. We have ink passports, which is mostly like European law thing. We have waiting lists for artists. We have customer lists in case you have no shows happening. We have all these very specific features that only in our industry are really necessary.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, thanks for kind of offering that breakdown. So your platform offers does all the heavy lifting of a tattoo shop, so the artists can just really be artists and focus on their craft, right? Can you share sort of talk about the story behind how Tattoogenda was founded and what really inspires you to create the company?
Yeah, right. I run my own tattoo studio since 15 years. So I started out as an artist myself, but the studio grew until we have 15 individual artists working with us simultaneously on a daily basis. So because it got so busy, we decided to franchise our business. So we have now 6 locations spread over the country. And just because I needed to manage those 6 locations myself, I had the need for a decent piece of software, which was not available on our markets. So I decided to make it myself. I have to mention that I was a software engineer before I started tattooing. So you could say I fell back to my first passion somehow. So I started designing Tattoogenda. I hired some really nice experts. They did mostly the architecture and the first part of the development. And then I joined again as a developer. And that kind of teamwork is now doing really nice. So firstly, it was made for our own franchise, but now we offer it to studios worldwide by digital subscriptions.
Wow, that's super cool. That's cool that you started as an artist yourself, managing your store, kind of figuring out like there has to be a better way of doing things, right? And then you take that software developer experience and put it to work. That's really neat. That's cool to see the journey there. Are there any specific types of studios, tattoo studios, or artists that tend to derive the greatest value from Tattoogenda's offerings and solutions?
Yes, definitely. Studios who work with multiple artists, who have a manager or a booker or a receptionist who helps with managing and booking all the appointments for those artists, and also for studios who want to grow, they will have the best benefit of Tattoogenda, because you have to see the benefits of inputting all that data into a system. You want to build customer history. You want to know if a customer was a no-show on you in the past, or you want to know if that customer spent 6,000 euros with you or just 60 euros. All these kinds of data help really professionally organized studios to grow faster. Also, like, the manager sees all the calendars of every artist. Every artist, of course, sees only his own data. And then if you are just an artist working by yourself, or you're just sharing a space with different artists and you each work for yourself and you're not sharing anything, you don't have somebody who makes bookings or promotions for the whole team, then I could say that it might be less interesting for you. It's really meant to organize these groups practices and like group the work, that so the manager can do the management stuff, the marketing can do the marketing, and the artist can definitely be more of an artist with that. So single artists have less need for all this kind of elaborate features.
Okay, so designed more for studios with multiple artists. It's not designed for like my friend who, just orders the stick and poke tattoo kit from Amazon, right?
Less, he could definitely benefit for it if they see the benefit of doing 5 minutes of extra work for inputting data. But yeah, he might need some more convincing to do that for sure.
Well, I mean, if it's only 5 minutes of extra work, that's pretty convincing already. But okay, gotcha. When you have conversations with tattoo studios, and their managers or artists kind of running the shop, what are some of the alternative solutions they typically weigh and mention, against using Tattoogenda? Like, in other words, what are some of maybe their apprehensions or reasons why they think they might not benefit from using a platform like yours?
Right. Most of the tattoo studios that we talk to, they already use Google Calendar. And they use Google Calendar because it's fast and it's free. It's very decent made. You do your input very quickly. But Google Calendar does not do the things that we do. It does not send out the emails to the customers. It does not keep track of projects on top of your appointments to keep all your tattoo information, for example. It's not collecting deposits. It's not collecting reviews, things like that. It cannot be integrated with the POS. So stepping up to Tattoogenda is definitely a very logical step after using Google Calendar. But we are not for free. Google Calendar is.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that seems like, I mean, my tattoo artist, he uses Google Calendar. And so he just seems like a perfect candidate for your platform and his studio that he works for and manages. So that really resonates with me. Building on that last question, what are some of your company's solutions that maybe prove to be the most challenging to convey to customers? Is there one particular thing that stands out?
Well, actually, we have a bunch of features that we almost never tell to the initial user who starts with the platform, but we only bring it up after a studio is using Tattoogenda for a while. If we see that studio is growing, maybe they want to grow to multiple locations, then we have a whole lot of features like, for example, sharing your gift vouchers over multiple locations, connecting your PIN terminals, and transferring the financial transaction list to the headquarters that can oversee the different locations like that. It's not something you tell to somebody you have the first talk to. We keep it for later. We can go pretty advanced. And also the most expensive subscriptions can have access to custom development. Like, for example, if you live in a very foreign country and you want to automate your financial transactions and push it to your accounting software, we can make that happen. We can make your life really easy, but that requires mostly some custom solutions for you.
Yeah, I can imagine some of these features, the technical aspects can get a little bit complex for customers. So I can see why you might not want to mention that right away. Might be too overwhelming, you know. In the software space, user experience, intuitive design, they're vital elements for a platform, especially when it comes to adopting the platform, making it just intuitive and user friendly. I'm curious about how you make Tattoogenda just user friendly in this regard. Could you talk maybe about some of the sort of learning curve associated with your platform?
Yeah, I'm very happy that you ask, because I still work in my own studio, and in my studio I have a bunch of artists, 10 a day, plus two receptionists who are using the platform on a daily basis. So my receptionists use it on desktop. Most of my artists use it on iPads. A few of my guests, they insist on using it on mobile. And every now and then I just look over their shoulder and I see how they use it. Like if I launch a new feature, I never explain. In my studio, they know there was an update. They don't know what is new. And then I see how they handle it, how they see what is intuitive, what might be less intuitive. And that way I can get really live and very instant feedback from the people around me. It's very useful.
Yeah, that's awesome. You get that instant real world feedback. That's great. I feel like companies would pay a lot of money just to get that sort of feedback. So that's really cool. Now I want to ask you about how your platform is set up to help maybe larger studios or studios that need to grow and expand to serve more clients, you know, as the time goes on, as they get bigger. How does Tattoogenda offer that sort of flexibility and scalability to accommodate the growth, so that there's no real value lost?
Right. So every studio who we see is really growing fast, we mostly have a very personal connection with them. If they have a request for extra features, we think if that feature is making sense to make it available for all our users, in case, then that's very useful information, and then we just develop it. Sometimes a user, like I already mentioned, wants those specific cases for growth, and then we do some custom development. But most of the studios that use our software are smaller than our own software. So it's not common that we get requested features that we don't already have or that we have not felt the use for ourselves. So in that way, we are pretty safe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for an industry like yours, you know, dealing with often, you know, permanent products and services, I think satisfaction is really crucial for the end user. It's of the utmost importance, you know. And I think that starts with simple things, relatively simple things like maintaining schedules and just kind of offering clear communication between like the client and the artist or the studio. So just building off of kind of what you just talked about in the last couple of questions and answers, what are some of the ways Tattoogenda improves client engagement and satisfaction?
Right. First of all, Tattoogenda makes that your customer gets a more professional feel with your studio, because we send out these emails with your appointment list. We send out the reminders by text, and these are just two examples of many features we have. But those exact two automated communications, that's exactly what happens like in hospital and dentists and chiropractors also. So the customer is already used to this kind of communication in the more serious businesses, you could say. And then if they get the same experience from booking their tattoo appointments, they feel like your studio is also a serious business. So they take you serious. They show up for their appointments. They pay their deposits. They appreciate your time more. So if you put in all the data, if you are working with the system like we have now for many years, you build your customer history. If I have a customer walking in and I click on one button, I can easily see if that customer has been with just one artist, or is it his first appointment, or does that customer has a whole history of appointments with us. I can see he spent €1,000 with artist A. I can see he spent €50 with artist B, and then €6,000 for a back piece with artist C. So you collect all this data, and in our reception, it's not always exactly the same person who's doing that reception. So everybody who's sitting there, before the customer enters, they can see this data really fast. And that way you can welcome your clients in a very personal way, even if you were not the one making that personal connection during their previous tattoo. So it's way easier to welcome your clients and to talk about the tattoo they had half a year ago. You can ask how it is healing. And that makes a way more professional impression than just like, hey, do you have an appointment, for example?
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that just seems like it helps just create a more professional experience all around. Now, when it comes to the future, where you see sort of what technologies you see sort of being integrated in the coming months, years, what are I don't know, what are some of the emerging trends that you're watching in the body art studio management space? What is kind of keeping what are you keeping your eye on?
Artists are more and more collaborating into group practices. I don't know if that's the correct English word. Instead of working alone, they consolidate themselves in bigger studios. In the past, an artist was more like, I just want to do my art, and if your art is nice and you show it on social media, that was good enough. But these days, it's not good enough anymore. If you're just an average artist and you are unwilling to work on your social media and on your organization and on the customer experience, and if your quality is not growing, I think that type of artist will fall out. And then the artists who will focus on their art and grow better in their quality and join the group practice, which will give them more time to work on that tattoo quality, I think those will still make a very good living. So they have to consolidate so everybody can do the job that they are good at. Like let the manager organize, let the accountant do the accounting, let the marketeer do the marketing, let the artists be artists. And people start to get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. Just let artists be artists. I think that's a fantastic takeaway. I really like that. And it just seems like, generally speaking, there's always going to be sort of a challenge associated with convincing a customer to adopt a platform like yours. I mean, it's not just exclusive to your industry. I feel like that just is a natural sort of tension there, or limitation, or with adopting a new platform, especially if there's money involved. But you have to obviously look at the efficiency gains and kind of what it offers you, right? But I'm curious about some of the other challenges you've faced when starting your business. Like, what was one of the most challenging decisions you've had to make with Tattoogenda?
Offering the free demos. That was something we talked about for a while, because now if you surf to our website, you can just click to make an appointment for a free demonstration. In such demo, it's a one-on-one talk, mostly with me or with my colleague Maxim, and we listen to your case. We want to know how your studio is organized, how big it is, do you work with guest artists or not, what are your rules for deposits, what do you have questions about, do you want to grow or do you want to stay steady and get more organized? And from that information that we get from you, we can give you a very customized, smaller demo of how our software can help you. We can also show you around in our own live account, which has a lot of data. But those one-on-one calls are very expensive. In software industry, it's not so common that you do these personal demos who can take 1 hour or sometimes 2 or 3 times 1 hour. Even after that hour, if you subscribe and then you have a question while setting up, or 1 month later you have a best practice question, you book the demo again and we hop on that call again. So you could say from a SaaS standpoint, it's less interesting because of the high expense of these personal meetings. Normal SaaS companies would do the group meetings or the pre-recorded videos. But I feel, as an artist myself and as a tattoo shop owner myself, if I can talk to those people one-on-one, it works really well. And like, I think 90% of the people that we have in the demo, they really close and they start using it and they keep communicating later on. And that later on communication is super valuable. So it's a return on investment, you could say.
Yeah. Now, is there a particular story that comes to mind where you sort of went above and beyond for a customer to help them out? Is there anything that stands out?
Yeah. I had one customer from New Mexico. He was running his studio very well. He had a very dedicated team, but that guy was not always there. So he was managing his studio when he was there, but then he traveled as a guest or he went back to his home country or things like that, which was for me very interesting that he could still manage it very well from a distance. But the one problem he had with managing from a distance is so the artist charges the customer, and sometimes you have artists who start to charge too much or artists who are scared to charge enough. And he also wanted to keep an eye on quality. So his very specific request for me was, can you make the system ask for a picture of the finished work before my artist can enter a payment? Which seemed weird to me at first, because then I thought, okay, in my studio, which artist can I convince to have to upload an image before they can continue with the whole process? But anyway, I created it. I made sure that you could choose per artist if they have to upload that image or not. And then I implemented for my own studio. After it worked for him, I activated it for us. And to be honest, every artist was enthusiastic. Nobody had like arguments on why not to do it. And now if those people, if one of my artists comes to me and he's like, Sandy, I want to raise, I want a bigger share, or I want to ask more to my customers, then I can simply open the whole list of all the pictures they uploaded. I can see how much time they took per tattoo. I can see how much they charged per tattoo, and I can see how consistent their quality is. So actually it's a win-win, both for the artist and both for the shop owner. And I could have never imagined it, invented it for myself. It came from that guy. We made it very quick. I think after 1 or 2 months it was live, and it was useful for both parties.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. Having everything right there, and you can just see the data, see everything you need all in one place. That's cool. Now, I guess one little follow-up question too. You mentioned that client was from New Mexico. And I know I've mentioned this, you're based out in Belgium. Your company has a global reach, right? Can you talk about, is there any particular areas, I guess, that you don't operate in, or you're kind of open to clients all around the world?
We are open to clients all around the world. You could say the English-speaking countries make most sense. It's translated in a few more languages like French and Dutch, Italian, like the more European languages. But the customers are very, very spread out. So of course we have most of them in Belgium and Netherlands because that's our home base. But every time that I get a demo, I'm surprised by, oh wow, I didn't have that country yet, or I didn't have that city yet. It's really not clustered. It's also not like a tattoo studio spreads the word to the next tattoo studio. Most of them are just competing with each other. So it's all single instances and all spread. I think it's nice. I like it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. Thanks for kind of um, describing that or breaking that down, because I wasn't sure exactly which kind of areas you operated in, but I guess that's the beauty of the internet, right? It transcends boundaries of countries, and yeah, that's great. Now, I want to transition to sort of talk about some of the maybe more personal thought leadership questions that maybe aren't directly related to Tattoogenda, but maybe focus more on you and your journey and how you kind of got to where you are today. What are some qualities you think are essential for someone aspiring to be a leader in today's business world, and maybe even specifically in the space that your industry is in?
I think two very important qualities are adaptability, like how fast you learn and how fast you can adapt to the new situation, but also authenticity. So you want to be able to change really fast according to new circumstances, like new technology, new market trends, new customer preferences. You have to adapt fast, but you have to keep the same consistent values. You have to stay true to yourself. You have to know where you came from. You stay true to your customers. And I feel people like the users of Tattoogenda appreciate it most of all if you stick to your guns and you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Now, if you could go back to the start of your career, what's one piece of advice you'd give yourself?
I would say don't try to do everything yourself, but I still do most of it myself first. Don't try to do everything yourself, but if you do everything yourself, then if you have the money, for sure, then hire a coach to learn new things. I learned things the hard way. I did it all by myself. For a few things I had to learn, like tattooing, for example, I had no money at all. So the road is very long and hard. But as soon as you have a better financial situation and you have to learn new skills like sales or marketing or whatever, then if you hire a coach, it can go way faster. You do not get burned out. You learn more and you do it better in the end. So learn to appreciate the input of somebody who knows better, and you will grow way faster.
I love it. Yeah, easier said than done, but that's so big. It's so huge. It's like you got to have the right people in place that you trust to get the job done, so you can go focus on other aspects. That's great. Now, how do you, this is a really kind of introspective question, but how do you stay motivated and keep your team motivated during maybe tough times, whether economic times, there's, you know, like micro macro issues in your shop. What kind of keeps you motivated?
That's a very hard question because I'm always motivated. And in the same time, that's my weaker point. Um, People could say, "Oh, I'm jealous on how you are always happy and always motivated and always have the energy to go on." But for me, having all that motivation all of the time makes it harder to focus on just one thing because I can get excited about almost anything. So it's easier to get distracted with the next new idea that pops into your mind or something like that. So for me, a better question would be like, how do you stay focused on just one track and really push for that one product to create? And that's practice. I still haven't figured it out 100%, I think.
It's a constant, work in progress. But yeah, I know for you, it's like, how do I kind of just slow down and focus on the most important task at hand and in certain times. But I love that you're always motivated. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really kind of what separates a successful business leader.
Yeah, I'm very thankful to have that. I don't have to put any effort in motivation. I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now we're coming down to our last question, and that is just how can listeners learn more about Tattoogenda and get in touch with you and your team?
Right. So the lowest threshold platform is Instagram. We are very present on Instagram. Just follow us. Send a DM if you have any questions. Of course, we are also on TikTok and on YouTube. But booking a demo through our website, so just surf to tattoogenda.com and you click on book a free demo. That is the easiest way to get in contact with us. You just book a video call, and in that call, we take an hour for you and you can ask all the questions. You can explain your specific case to us. And I think that's the best way to get in contact.
Yeah, if you're not sure or you're interested, book a demo, see if you like it. Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk about Tattoogenda. I know it's in the evening hours for you in Belgium right now, so I appreciate you hopping on here to talk about your company. I think there's a lot of
Great.
insights to share.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It was a really nice talk. You do great with SourceForge. I love the platform.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, thank you. That's Sandy Verfaya from Tattoogenda. Thanks again. And thank you all listeners for tuning in to the SourceForge podcast. I'm your host, Bo Hamilton. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all of our upcoming B2B software related podcasts. I will talk to you in the next one.